I'm not gonna start talking until he sits down.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I don't ever pump the brakes in.
Hey, what's up, Coke Zero?
I guess that's a shameless plug, right?
All right.
What do you know?
Hey, what's up, people? How you guys doing? Once again, this is Enoch, Michael, and Brian Hawkins. We're back for another round session to talk about what do you know or what do you don't know. You know, I think last weekend we had a lot of fun with regard to playing around with this. Like I said, last week was our christening, so to say, with regard to getting out of the box, and we wanted to be more consistent because we're still building on that same thing we talked about last week with regard to making ourselves uncomfortable, bringing value, and making sure we're always educating ourselves to help more people. And I think that brings us to the topic we're going to talk about today. Is going to be about what do you know, and we're going to be talking about first-time home buyers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yummy.
Whoa.
Yummy. Yes.
And the question becomes, when you start talking about first-time home buyers, is what do you don't know, or what do you know about how simple it is to actually get in a house?
Yes.
And we want to try and bring some education, bring value to people out there that may be thinking about buying a house at some point in the future, but they don't know what they don't know, and we're going to try to help them know more so they're in a position to make that decision going forward. Okay? And then, like I said, every time we get together and we have these talks, we want to bring you some great value, but we also want to make sure when it's all said and done, what are the takeaways? What should you take from our conversation today with regard to trying to put something in your life or in your orbit, so to say, to help you become better and put you in a better financial situation a year from today?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So with that being said, welcome everybody to what do you know, what do you don't know, and first home buyers, okay? So my first question is when first people come out and they want to buy a house, what is one of the first things they should do?
I know my answer to that question.
What's your
every
answer?
time is you gotta talk to somebody.
Okay.
So if you're a first-time home buyer, you've never been through the process. It's all about what do you don't know at this point, right?
Okay.
And how are you gonna find out what you should know?
Okay.
And the only way you're gonna do that is if you talk to somebody and you ask questions.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm gonna talk to somebody, the first person I'm gonna reach out to, if I'm not already talking to a realtor, is gonna be to a lender.
Yeah.
If I don't have a lender, I may reach out to my realtor to see if they've worked with anybody in the past that they know, trust, and because when it comes to the lending side of things, I think a lot of that comes down to performance, and how are you going to know how they perform unless, someone has worked with them before?
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about one of the first things is, yes, it's talk to a lender, reach out to somebody, but that comes from the whole standpoint of why don't you make sure first you got a good team in place. And what I mean by that is, if a client comes to me as a professional realtor and they ask me what type of program should I qualify for, I'm going to be like, I'm not sure, but I got a great partner that will be able to give you that roadmap with regard to giving you directions on facilitating a transaction for you, knowing how to structure that contract. That means I'm going to have to talk to my lender partner or one of my teammates in the process.
Yep.
Which brings us to you, Brian. People are going to come talk to you about, buying a house and different things. But let me ask you a question before we even go down that rabbit hole. What are some of the first things you look for when a client comes to you to see if they're in a position mentally to buy a house and financially to buy a house? And I know we talked about some different things with regard to savings and money and all that kind of stuff, because everybody wants to get to a house with a little or more no money down. But there are obstacles. And yes, you can get in a house with very little money down, but at the same time too, we know there's going to be certain expenses associated with that.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So it's super important when I'm talking to first-time home buyers. One of the first questions that I ask, and it's really important, is how much money do you have saved to purchase a new home? Okay, very simple question. I get several different answers in that question. But, typically when I get, the individual that, maybe they said, you know what, I've saved X amount of dollars for buying a new home. I have X amount of dollars in my savings account and I'm going to keep saving. That's somebody that is motivated and understands from the get-go that you have to have some kind of savings to buy a new home.
They've got a plan, right?
They've got some sort of plan
in
to
the thought
buy,
process.
and they know that at some point in time they're going to need some money to buy a new home.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is there a magic number you look at, like as a barometer?
You stole my question.
Yeah, because I'm like, is it $200? Is it $1,000? Because honestly, when you come about it, what people don't know is that most people think housing back in terms of like we're in the 70s or 80s.
Right.
And they think they need 20% to get into a house.
That's a myth.
Nope.
That's one of the top 5 myths of buying for a first time home buyer to buy a new home is, okay, I need 20% down or I need 10% down, whatever. They have that in their head that, you know, somebody has told them that their whole life. You need 20% down, kid. You need 20% down to buy your house. So people have that in their mind. So it's really not that complicated. There are programs that they're zero money down. Yep. Basically, and that's what you're going to see a lot of advertising. No money down, get into a house, you know, for 0 down payment. And that is true. There's several different programs. One of the big programs that I like to use is the Chenoa Fund program. It's a 3.5% down payment assistant options. It's basically it's a second loan onto the transaction. Yeah. And that gives you your down payment. But keep in mind, what people don't know is it's not just the down payment. You have settlement charges. Okay. You got your settlement charges that have to be paid. Mike, you're expert at this part of this. Literally,
hey, where'd you get that
expert at this part?
I don't know where that
came from. Where'd you get that negotiation piece out? Becoming an expert.
The negotiations has been around for a while. Now I've accentuated and added to my game since coming in contact with this gentleman right here. By all means, so like leveled up.
Like Mike always says, okay, look, you know, plan on $450 for an appraisal. Before the appraisal, plan on $350 for a home inspection.
Yeah, and the termite inspection. So there are costs outside
termite,
of
home
settlement costs.
Those 2 items right there to spend, let's just call it $500. Fair enough?
That's
$500, okay? I'm interested in buying a home. I'd spend $500 any day on any house just to make sure that I can buy the house.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
so if you haven't thought about that, and you don't know, you haven't thought about, okay, well, I need money saved for these items. At least you got to have money to inspect the home, make sure it's a good house, make sure you're not buying a baby, and you're not getting into something that you really don't want to get into. Because the last thing you want is you do a 0 down payment, you get, you know, credit towards your closing costs from the seller. So you come into the deal with virtually nothing, maybe $1,000 or $2,000. You get into the house, and then things start breaking.
Home warranty.
Who's going to pay that? Who's going to, you know, I need this, and then you're in a bad situation, potentially a foreclosure situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't want to put yourself in that.
Well, the other side of that as well too. Before you get there, Mike, is that I love to get people in the house with no money down. Don't get me wrong. But I also want to make sure they have a skin in the game as well too. And that skin in the game is a little bit of preparation in their end, at least to save up to cover a lot of those paid outside of closing costs that are going to be incurred. Because what you're probably going to roll into next is with regard to the way we structure a lot of our deals. When you get with a great team, is you get with partners that shows you how to do this, and maybe you may be one of those lucky people that get a check back at escrow just because you work with a professional that structured the deal to get the seller and the program to help cover a lot of your costs, which keeps more money in your pocket, so you have that way to financial benefits of owning your first home.
Yeah, I wasn't quite going into that yet, but I will, because you kind of covered on some of the things that I was going to talk about. But it's about kind of tying into last week a little bit, though, man, is being genuinely invested into that person you're working with, right? So you're genuinely wanting to set them up for success, not for failure, right? Because this is a relationship building business, as I talked about last week, you know? Just because you're buying a home with me today doesn't mean that, you know, I won't be doing business with you possibly, you know, in 5, 6, 7 years or something. So I'm not just trying to sell you a house and make a quick commission check today, but I want to make sure you're set up successfully going forward. So to your point, do you have some skin in the game? Meaning, do you have some money or, you know, some sort of time, some sort of investment? Because that's what buying a house is. It's an investment, right? So I think that's a very strong point. But to change pages and talk about some of the deals that we've been able to get done over the last, you know, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 months, whatever the case, we have. Working with you, as a matter of fact, Brian, we've got quite a few deals done where that $1,800 has been the kind of the magic number where $1,000 earnest payment, you know, and then I'm kind of projecting $800 to cover for the inspection, the appraisal, and give or take, depending on, you know,
Sure. All that stuff.
yeah, all that. I mean, there's going to be some, you know, miscellaneous, but roughly about that 1,800. Even with that, we've been able to negotiate some deals where what you mentioned earlier was we're getting seller concessions, where what that is, for many of you that may not know, is the seller is willing to contribute money from their net proceeds of selling the house to help you pay for some of your closing costs. Closing costs and down payment, two different things. And that's another thing that first-time homebuyers get confused with. Closing costs are going to be with settlement charges, title company, escrow services, et cetera, where your down payment is going to be loan generated on the lending side, et cetera. So, but there's multiple costs. End of the story is if you have a competent and I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but an assertive real estate agent working with you, for you, they're going to negotiate for some of those things. And I don't know, some of you guys may have seen some of these settlement statements that I put on there. These are actual settlement statements where people are walking away. I've had one where we refunded $1,000 on a $160,000 purchase. Another one for $1,000 on a $240,000 purchase. This is at the closing table, so you're not having to bring money.
They're basically getting their down payment back.
You're getting your earnest deposit back.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
now that $1,800,
Yep.
it costs me $800 to get into a house I'm buying.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
Well, that's cheaper than rent,
That's
which is a
what I'm
whole other
Yeah.
competition. Because right now, the way rents are rolling in Arizona, it's cheaper to actually buy. Because when you start looking at a security deposit and all the necessary credit checks and fees associated, deposits with regard to cleaning deposits, security deposits, we can get you into a house for much cheaper than that. And then a year from that point, your equity or the appreciation you gain is going to be much greater. Because I've talked to people, they're like, I spent $95,000 the last 4 years renting. I'm like, can you imagine $95,000 going towards something that you own and you're getting appreciation on that as well too? It's so many different things, and that's the whole point we're trying to talk about here today, is what do you don't know when it comes to it. But when Michael says something about an expert realtor, I wouldn't say that you have to be an expert realtor. You just have to get with a real estate agent and a lender that is knowledgeable how to conduct business on your best benefit. That means knowing how to negotiate these deals, knowing where to speed up at, knowing when that bend in the road says don't exceed 45. You're not going 95 like a lot of realtors do, and they end up off the cliff. They get unhappy, the client gets unhappy, nobody gets what they want. That means getting with a team and starting. And that comes back to what we first start talking about was first things first, we need to make sure you reach out to someone, have that conversation. Because if you ask me what I think you should go into as far as loan program, I'm going to tell you to talk to my partner, the lender. He gives us the financial roadmap with regard to how we structure the deal. We just enhance it.
I won't even go out and look at houses until a client has already spoken to a lender and has presented a pre-qual.
I might disagree with you on that.
Yeah?
The reason I say that because I like keeping clients motivated about looking houses. If I show them houses, they fall in love with some, sometimes they're a little bit more quicker to turn in stuff. But I'm not going to do it every week. I might do it once just to see how motivated they are.
And I guess my angle on that is, and that's a good point, and I'm not saying that that's not an effective strategy.
Yeah, we all have different strategies.
But the thought behind my process is I don't want to walk into a house and then have that buyer walk in and know that's the one. Because they know when they walk in. I mean, you know when you walk in. Last thing I want to do is be stuck in a position where I can't write an offer up for them. I want to be in position to go.
I just want to be motivated through the whole process. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't know how motivated you are, but I'll know if you see something you like and you get mad because you can't get it because you didn't take the first step.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, so it works for everybody. Just because we say we do our business way, don't mean it's the right way or the wrong way.
Yep.
We're saying we're all going after with the same thing in mind with regard to what's the end result and how to get our clients there the best way we can.
What fits for you? What works for you? How do you put together your team, your best team, as you mentioned earlier?
And that's the first step, is I would say get with a credible real estate agent like myself, Michael, or other people you may know, and then make sure you find a lender. A lot of times your real estate partner, they scrub a lot of lenders, okay? And what I mean they scrub a lot of lenders is they go through a lot of lenders to get the lender that actually acts for as an extension of their business.
Yep.
And that's why we partner with people like Brian, et cetera, because we know what to expect. He knows what I expect. He knows what he expects from me, and we're both giving that client to our client.
Bottom line, it's a team.
Right, and when you have that
It's a
connection, what does that create? an opportunity for a lot smoother, hassle-free
That
transactions.
sounds like
Not to
something.
say that there's not going to be any bumps in the road. There will. But when those bumps come,
Yeah.
you're going to know how to handle because you worked together, right?
Yeah.
Before. So.
I'd much rather solve a problem with 3 people than just 1.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So now we've been out, right? We've talked to somebody. We've asked some questions. We've turned the lights on because we don't drive our car at night with the lights off, right?
Yeah.
Get the lights on. We know where we're going, right?
Yeah.
We got our pre-qualification. What's our next step?
Oh, we gotta start searching for homes, baby.
Yes.
We gotta search for homes. Because what happens here in this scenario is that the lender gives us a roadmap with regard to the financial criteria that he's gonna have to make sure he meets in order to get that loan done.
Yeah.
And just going out there showing you homes not knowing that, I don't want you to get frustrated because you're looking at homes you may not qualify for. And I don't want the lender to get frustrated because we're showing you stuff and now all these questions because now we're having lack of communication. And you know what happens when you have lack of communication, don't you?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's like a bad marriage.
That's right.
When you're getting divorced.
Disconnect.
All
You start putting
problems-
bricks in the wall.
All problems start with lack of communication. So we want to over communicate to you what's going on so we can actually be your best advocate to get it done for you as well too.
Yes.
Okay? So we get with the lender, we can find out our financial roadmap, then we start getting out there, we start setting up these custom searches for you, and that comes from you reaching out to us and us asking you questions about what are you trying to solve? What are your must-haves? What are you trying to do? Because everything we do comes back to asking questions, trying to see how we can solve your problem. You may not call it a problem, but it's a problem to us because we want to make sure we give you a solution to whatever you're trying to accomplish. What is the solution? That comes from the lender, that comes from asking questions. Now we're out there, we're actually searching for homes, we're setting up times, and then in this market, if you sleep, you lose right now.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness!
Yeah.
There's a meme that's going around with Morpheus from the Matrix, right?
Uh-huh.
It says, "What if I told you that house you liked and wanted to think about making an offer on tonight sold today?" You know, so you didn't have that opportunity tomorrow. You know, but it just
Yeah.
it was funny. I actually seen it earlier, so
Yeah.
kind of ties into that. It is though.
Yeah.
Inventory's a
Because in
little-
our market here in Arizona, the place we're at, I mean, we got a very competitive market right now. And that means, one, you gotta have a good lender that says he can do something. But two, you gotta have a real estate agent that knows how to find those houses. Whether they're listed through the MLS, which everybody does, or how about those off-market MLS listings? Or how about those pocket listings from your brokerage?
Yes.
How about from the different networking groups you're involved in, from wholesalers and investors that
Yes.
have houses coming to you as well too?
Yeah.
So once we understand that, our goal is to try to make it as easy as possible for you by finding those off-market deals as well as those deals which are on market, because we have a proven strategy in trying to get that house for you that we have a lot more success than your average realtor.
Yep. And that's willing to put the elbow grease and work in to look down some of those other avenues.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too far into detail of what some of those strategies are, but there is a game plan, there's a blueprint set up to find some of these properties that maybe wouldn't be found otherwise.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to add to that is in regard to preparation of buying a house. A lot of first-time home buyers or people looking to buy a home, the comment to me is, well, I don't want to run my credit because I'm not ready to buy for maybe another 6 to 8 months. Now is the time.
Yeah, with interest rates.
Well, the bottom line is 6 months goes by like that,
Right.
first
Yeah.
of all.
Yeah.
And if there's something on your credit right now and you need to fix it up in the next 90 days, so you get it fixed in the 90 days, you only got another 90 days.
Wait, and I'm glad you brought that up. So
you preparing, if it's even a year out, it doesn't hurt to pull your credit, see where you're at right now, so you know where you're going to go.
talking about things, what do you don't know? A lot of first-time buyers, a lot of first, second, third-time buyers don't know or understand or realize that you can go to a lender, and when they do pull it, they can tell you things that need to be fixed.
That's it.
Here's what you need to do. Here's your blueprint, Mr. Simmons, right?
Yeah.
Here's what we would like to see you do, and once you complete these, come back and see us, and now you can buy a house.
I'm willing to share a secret.
Go ahead.
Uh-oh, we
I'm
got
gonna
secrets
share
now.
The
Yeah.
secret.
I got a secret for you guys.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Ugh.
I don't know if we're gonna edit this.
Do you have
No.
pink shirt on underneath that?
Is our picture sweaty this week again?
I have a light garment.
It's at night.
It's breathable.
It's at night.
It's edible.
I kind of believe the way
Edit
you said that.
No, I do want to share a secret though. Is lenders, okay, of course I want everybody to come to me. That's, great. But if you got a family member, somebody's a lender, like you said, anybody, a team, somebody on your team that you can trust, lenders are credit experts. Lenders are credit experts. We see more credit reports and we have more tools and know how to fix credit better than any credit repair company, anybody out there. So if you are an inkling of thinking in your brain about buying a home, talk to your realtor, get a good referral to the lender, get the right lender that has the experience. They're going to know, if they've been in the business more than 5, 10, 15 years, they're going to be credit experts.
I like how you did that because your tier is above the 15.
Yeah, I'm above
the
15 to 20, 20 to 25.
You have
1 to 2.
17 and a half.
silver, gold, and platinum.
Exactly. Hey, here's something else you don't know. I was just thinking about this as we're talking about. One, we know that we need to get with a great team, talk to a lender. One, we need to know that our real estate agent's going to be negotiating, doing a lot for us.
Yes.
The thing you probably also don't know is that you don't pay your realtor anything.
Yes, thank you.
We only get paid if we solve the problem and we
That's
give
right.
you a solution to
Yep.
putting you in a house on your terms.
Yep.
Okay? They don't even realize that. They think that when you come at them and you're trying to talk to them about, hey, I want you to buy a house, the first thing they think you're trying to do is get to your wallet.
Yeah.
We're not getting to your wallet. We just want the opportunity to show that we're worth.
You gotta
Well,
have somebody,
we gotta earn it, right?
Yeah.
you gotta have somebody good representing you to buy the house. I see a lot of people going in, they don't have an agent representing them to buy the house, and that just sets you up for a bad deal.
Yeah.
It just sets you up for a bad
Yeah.
deal.
They
Get
don't pay
somebody
anything.
solid. You don't pay them a dime.
Yeah.
Get somebody like Enoch or Mike.
So I guess
and
that-
put you in a good situation.
That begs the question, right, for the first-time home buyers, if they're not familiar with the process, who does pay the commission? Well, that's the seller.
The seller pays the
Seller.
commission.
Yep.
We only get paid if we bring a ready, willing, able buyer.
Yep.
We facilitate the transaction on your terms while getting you for the best deal possible, as smooth as possible, in the shortest amount of time possible that meets your terms.
Yep.
If I could do all those things, of course I'm going to expect a commission. Okay? But I'm starting from scratch and I got to build credibility, and that's why I'm going to tell you about how we could do this in a way that's going to benefit you.
Yeah.
Because most people don't even realize that we actually work for that person. We work for the buyers.
Yes.
And we don't get paid unless we meet your criteria. We are interviewing for a job. That's what we're doing. And we're trying to fulfill that job because the whole goal for us is to make you happy so you tell your family and friends.
That's right.
And on the lending side, we don't charge up front. You don't have to go through an application fee to get pre-qualified.
Doesn't cost you money to
Doesn't cost
talk to
you
you
anything
for a
to get
pre-qual.
Yeah.
So
Take
now,
the financial steps.
everybody loves free. So now you're in the door free, right? You
Yeah.
know whether or not you can buy a house. You know what it's going to take to get you there if you're not qualified now. You've already established a relationship with a good realtor and a good lender if you went through that process.
Yeah.
So you're building your team, right? If you did get qualified, now you're out looking for houses.
Next step.
And you're pre-qualified. What's the next step? You got
Contract,
to
baby.
move. Yeah, you
Contract.
gotta move. Let's
That's where your realtor is going to show what his worth
Yes.
is. By negotiating for things that you probably didn't expect that you thought you deserve. Okay? That's what we do.
Yes.
And we talk about seller concessions. We talk about them paying for a home warranty. We talk about them paying transfer fees, disclosure fees on the HOA.
Yes.
All these different things, and not only negotiating the contract,
Repairs.
the repairs.
Right.
Because most people think that the deal's done once you get a purchase contract. Maybe
Right.
we just now get started. Let me
Right.
tell you. Because now you got to negotiate the home inspection.
That's the biggest piece. The
You know,
biggest
70% of deals fall out in the home inspection because the
70%.
seller's not willing to correct things that the buyer disapproves of.
Wow.
Okay, and in our market,
That's a big number.
we're still not done yet.
Yeah.
Now we have to worry about, did we buy it right, and if it's going to appraise.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And now what happens if it appraises, it
Yes.
doesn't appraise? And
Yeah.
that's probably getting into a whole other podcast, but it's a big bump in the
It's
road.
a big pocket of it.
Yes.
And the whole point when we talk about this stuff is when you get with the right team and the right partners, they're going to educate you about all this stuff. And there should never be a conversation which comes up that you wasn't warned about.
Right.
Not that it's going to happen, but the whole process for us is to try to educate you in the process. But ultimately, you make the decision, but you rely on us to help you make that decision from our experience and our team.
There's that over-informed again, because we're going to communicate to you.
Yeah,
Yes,
over-informed.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Couple little nuggets that I also want to put out there too, just because I know we're probably getting a little lengthy here as well, is a lot of people don't know that you can buy a house with a 580 credit score. Now, I'm not trying to get into too specifics or quote any terms or conditions, things of that nature, but I know you can get into a house with 580. Now that comes with price tag, obviously, but how many people out there knew that you could buy a house with a 580 credit score?
And a lot of times you may have a 580 credit score, but you get with a great lender that is probably the best resource with regard to fixing your credit. A tweak here, a tweak there, get you to a 640, 670 within that time frame. So even if you're not looking today, you're looking at 3 or 4 months down the road, there's things we could do to help you get there, which means you have more options. The better credit, the more options you have.
And then rates are all-time lows. All-time lows. I think I read something earlier today where they're forecasting the average rate to be at an all-time low for the year as well. I think the average for the year, someone's around 3.8 or something ridiculous.
More than that, some transactions I'm getting, 15-year fixed right now, I get down to 2.75.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the things you need to talk about. But everything's going to be subject to your individual situation. So just because you think you deserve a 3.5 or a 2.8, don't mean you're going to get it.
That's right.
It's going to come down to character and capability.
Yep.
Meaning your credit, all those factors, and your capability, your ability to qualify for it.
Yep.
It's always going to come down to that. Okay?
Yep.
So now that we know that we're going to get, first step is we're going to get with a team. We're going to get a financial snapshot. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to get out there. We're going to start looking at houses, trying to figure out what you want, if there are things that meet your need. Next, it's going to be about negotiating the contract, the home inspection, and then the appraisal. Then after that, then we're talking about settlement numbers to see exactly where you're at financially with regard to, based upon your particular loan program from your lender, what type of money do you have to come to the table with? Or if you're qualified for certain things and your realtor negotiated things for you, am I getting any money back?
Right.
Which is a possibility.
Are you one of these?
Yeah.
Are you one of these? Are you one of these? Are you one of these? One of these?
It's all about all these things, but the whole point is, oh my God. I just had flashbacks out to the bar. Mike started making it rain, I started to get up and dance.
Hey. It's been real serious today. Just want to loosen up.
Just as long as you're not throwing any loonies at me, I'm
I'm running
good.
short, so.
All right, good. But that's what we're talking about here, is trying to see what is the best scenario for you to get into a house, not knowing what it takes, and maybe your expectations were a lot greater than you thought they were, but the point is, you need to start the process today. You know what I mean? Because most people have that dream of home ownership because they don't realize that home ownership is the greatest way to financial security.
Yep.
Appreciation, tax savings. And one interesting stat we talked about as well too, is they said, for all of you people out there with kids, they talked about that simple stat that people that own homes, their kids tend to test out better than other kids.
Are more likely to graduate and go to secondary schools. Absolutely.
Exactly. So if your kids are going to graduate, you should probably buy a house.
Takeaways from today.
So what are our takeaways from today? We talked about a lot.
My first one is, I don't know, some of you guys probably seen an ad, a post I put out about potatoes becoming vodka. Is too many people don't know that they can buy. You need to ask questions. And that leads into Brian's probably takeaway here about talking.
You gotta know where you're at to know where you're going.
Okay.
That's it. You gotta know where you're at financially.
And then once you financially know where you're at, know what your wants, needs, deal breakers are for your home search, and that takes you down to building your team and closing the show with Enoch.
So build your team. But my whole point, what I want to end with is, I always like to tell people this because everybody has dreams of buying a house.
Yep.
Everybody always wants to get there, but they just don't do it.
Yes.
Okay. So what I always like to leave with, and this is my final takeaway from the day: a year from today, you wish you would have started today.
That's it.
Yep.
Okay. A year from now, you wish you would have started today.
Boom.
Because your feelings aren't going to change in a year.
Yeah.
Okay?
Boom.
All those little financial things, getting the credit in place, all the people
Price
take
tag.
advantage of these historic low interest rates and all these different things, because our market is becoming very competitive and the rents are higher than it costs to own a home. Who do you want to pay? Do you want to pay somebody else, or do you want to pay yourself and get the appreciation and the tax savings and all the other benefits that comes with home ownership?
Boom.
That's what I'm gonna think about.
Boom.
Right? So what do you know? what do you don't know. I want you guys to continue to reach out to us, give us feedback, and like I said, we're going to try to do this every Wednesday for you. Every week we'll have another fun and exciting topic as we go through this, and we're just going to try to build on this, to try to educate you guys, build value while still making ourselves uncomfortable, okay? By still trying to do what we want to do, and that is just bring value to everybody we deal with.
Awesome.
Hey, don't worry about what I wear underneath my shirt.
Oh, I'm afraid. At this point, it's probably sweaty.